Gentlelady from North Carolina reserves. Gentleman from New Jersey is recognized.
Reserve the balance of our time. I'm ready to close when my friend and
Gentleman
colleague.
reserves.
And I do thank you for her comments tonight.
I yield
Gentlelady
myself
from North
as
Carolina is
much time as I may consume for the purpose of closing.
Gentlelady is recognized.
The Frederick Douglass Trafficking Victims Prevention and Protection Reauthorization Act builds on the decades of efforts to combat human trafficking, modernizing prevention, protection, and prosecution tools. This 5-year reauthorization of counter-trafficking programs will be critical for U.S. efforts around the globe to eliminate the human trafficking industry. I want to thank again my good friend, Representative Chris Smith, for his lifetime of work on this issue. It has made a real difference, and this reauthorization will continue to make a difference for years to come by building on the lessons learned since he first introduced the first modern anti-trafficking bill in 2000. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting H.R. 5856, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentlewoman from North Carolina yields. Gentleman from New Jersey is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my good friend and colleague. We have worked together on so many human rights issues, including combating anti-Semitism and other important human rights issues and trafficking. She was a star when we had our hearings on this, and I want to thank her for her eloquent defense of the victims, as well as trying to stop the perpetrators of these horrible crimes. You know, at a congressional hearing, and that's one of the ones I'm talking about right just now with my good friend and colleague that I chaired last May, a woman by the name of Gina Cavallo, an amazing, courageous woman from my home state of New Jersey, told us how she suffered unspeakable violence, including rape, beatings, coercive drug abuse, and other torture as her traffickers sold her like a commodity from one buyer to the other. She testified, and this is only a part of her testimony, but it goes right to the heart of what we're talking about. She testified it's so critical that survivors are heard. And she said that the Frederick Douglass Act is a direct result of listening, and we listened to her and other human trafficking victims. And that's much of what we have here tonight has been informed by their insights. Gina Cavallo told us that she was a survivor of domestic violence and childhood abuse. That experience as a child led me, this is her talking now, to a place where I felt ashamed, unloved, rejected. It also led to me being trafficked. Force, fraud, and coercion, she goes on to say, were all used by someone who pretended to be my friend, but ultimately abducted me into being trafficked. For nearly 2 years, from the age of 18, I was prostituted and sold to the highest bidder and raped over and over and over again. She went on, my identity was taken, and I was given a new name. Sleep deprivation, threats of violence, pornography, drugs, and food were all used as punishment and reward, leading to my traffickers taking complete psychological control over me. Does this sound like anything that a young person dreams of for their future? Being stripped and robbed of your peace of mind and of your body, your humanity, your dignity, and your respect. I became, she goes on to say, a commodity to be used for others' gain. But I often blame myself for the situation because I believed it was my fault. And I've heard, and I know my good friend Karen has heard this as well as other members of this chamber. So often the trafficking victims say, oh, it's my fault. It's not. They have been coerced, deceived, and drugged often into this terrible, terrible trafficking situation. She goes on to say, as a victim, I was taught to distrust my family and friends, and especially law enforcement. The more they isolated me, the more fear I felt, and the more control they gained, which is very intentional. It took decades for me to identify that I was a victim. I learned through counseling and by my continuous healing journey that what happened to me wasn't my fault. As a victim, I was left with a lifetime sentence, ruined relationship, addiction, hospital visits, suicide attempts, lack of jobs and education, and also left with shame and fear. In her testimony, Gina said, but what you especially can do as lawmakers is to ensure that every aspect of your work to end human trafficking that you put forward mandates widespread survivor-informed and trauma-informed training. She goes on, we need to create a safer country where people can come forward without stigma to reveal their experiences. No one should feel the double victimization of being trafficked, as well as feeling that they stay silent because of shame, fear, and not feeling safe. Today, Gina is a brave survivor with an indomitable spirit. She works in coalitions, including the New Jersey Coalition on Human Trafficking and others, and speaks to many school assemblies. And believe me, when she speaks, those students listen. So in writing the Frederick Douglass Act, we listened to her and others, and we were moved, and of course, it helped us to get it right. And again, that situational training that's at the core of this particular bill to make sure that our young people, I say to all my colleagues, there are curricula out there, and Frederick Douglass's foundation has curricula. Go to your schools, go to your police departments and say, please, will you take a look at this and have a day or two or more of training so that the young people, elementary and secondary age, and it also applies to college and higher education, that they know how to defend themselves. And if they see a friend at risk, to intervene quickly before the traffickers get them on drugs and hurt them severely. I see we're pretty much out of time before the end of this time period. So I do yield back the balance of our time, and I urge a yes vote on this legislation.
The gentleman yields. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill H.R. 5856 as amended? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the two-thirds being in the affirmative, this gentleman from New Jersey seek recognition.
On that, I request the yeas and nays.
Yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. Pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 20, this 15-minute vote on the motion to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 5856 as amended will be followed by 5-minute votes on the motion to reconsider House Resolution 863 and adoption of House Resolution 863 if ordered. This will be a 15-minute vote. On this vote, the yeas are 414, the nays are 11. 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Pursuant to Clause 8 of the Rule 20, the unfinished business is the question on the motion to reconsider the vote on the question of adoption of HRES 863, on which the yeas and nays were ordered. The clerk will redesignate the motion.
Motion to reconsider the vote on adoption of House Resolution 863, offered by Mr. Moore of Utah.
The question is on the motion. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. On this vote, the yeas are 216, the nays are 211. The motion is adopted. The question is on adoption of the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes. For what purpose does the gentleman from Utah seek recognition? The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This will be a 5-minute vote. Member wish to change your vote? On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 213. The resolution is adopted. Pursuant to Section 2A of House Resolution 996, House Resolution 995 is hereby adopted.
The House will be in order. Members, please move their conversations outside. The House will be in order. The House will be in order. Members, move your conversations outside. Thank you. The House will be in order. First one. The chair will now entertain requests for 1-minute speeches. For what purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition? The House will be in order.
Mr. Speaker, request unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute. The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to remember the life of Rich Kelly of Center County. Rich was a tireless advocate for emergency service in Center County, and he never wavered on his dedication to helping others. Rich joined Mount Nittany Health System in 1991, working his way up to EMS manager, and is responsible for the significant development growth of the department and EMS in the region. Over the years, he also served as Center County Coroner, Executive Director of Bellefonte EMS, Assistant Manager of Center Lifelink EMS, and was a flight paramedic for Geisner Life Flight. He was active in the fire service, having served as a volunteer for the Undines, my own home department of Howard, and the Logan Fire Departments, where our paths cross. And I consider Rich and his wife, Teresa, dear friends, and his passing is a tragic loss. His contagious personality and cheerful sense of humor will be missed across Center County for years to come. Scripture in 1 Thessalonians 4:13-18 instructs us with these words: brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of mankind who have no hope. Rich Kelly lived his life dedicated to service and caring for others in a way that brought hope to so many. Let us find peace, having known Rich Kelly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back the balance of my time.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New Jersey seek recognition?
Ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute, revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, recognized for 1 minute, sir.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to discuss how the House Republicans make the border crisis worse to harm America. Last week, they failed in their political stunt to impeach Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. There was no reason at all to do this in the first place. Then they failed to pass an appropriations bill because they did not include border security funding. But let's be honest, Republicans are not interested in border security. Their master, Donald Trump, told them to do nothing so he could use it as an election ploy. So they are allowing more undocumented immigrants to enter this country, and they're allowing dangerous fentanyl and other drugs to threaten the lives of Americans. They do it so this can be the kiss the feet of their boss and fearless leader. And they are robbing resources and funding from hardworking Americans to do it. It is an example of cowardice that has no equal in America. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Tennessee seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I seek unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to honor a true American hero who gave his life while keeping my community safe. On Thursday, February 8th, a violent criminal opened fire during a traffic stop. He put Blount County Deputy Shelby Eggers in the hospital and killed Deputy Greg McCowan, who was 43 years old. McCowan was known for being a loving man and a brave officer. His family was the light of his life, Mr. Speaker, and he loved them dearly. His fellow deputies knew that they could count on Deputy McCowan when he was serving alongside them. One of his colleagues described him as one of those guys you always wanted on your side. In 2021, he received the Sheriff's Office Life-Saving Award for rescuing a man from a burning vehicle. And I want to give my sincere condolences and prayers of healing to Greg's parents, Dallas, Elizabeth, and Jeff, his fiancee, Leah, his children's Kaylee and Caden, Leah's children's Kaven and Jacob, his granddaughter Ella, his sister Charity, and everyone else who knew and loved him. I also want to thank a very good friend of mine, Blount County Sheriff Jimbo Barong, for his leadership through this tragedy. He's a good friend of mine, and I know he has been working so hard to take care of his department and deal with this incredible loss. Earlier today, they caught the murderer, and it was due to East Tennessee's law enforcement tireless work to bring him to justice. We can never forget exactly how much our law enforcement sacrificed to keep us safe every day, Mr. Speaker. My prayer is that this never happens to any of y'all's communities. Thank you, and I yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you. For what purposes does the gentlewoman from Michigan seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask for unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, we mark the first anniversary of the shooting at Michigan State University that took the lives of Ariel Anderson, Brian Frazier, and Alexandria Verner, and physically injured 5 others. I spent today's anniversary on campus in East Lansing, where I saw firsthand how the pain and trauma of that terrible day continues to reverberate throughout the Spartan community. I was heartened to see so many people turn their emotions into action through the day of service at the Hanna Community Center at the International Center. As a member of Congress, as the first member of Congress that we can find who has faced 2 school shootings, both at MSU and at Oxford High School, I know too well how these events rip a hole in the lives of the community, one that remains long beyond the headlines. A place that's burned into my brain is the place I spent the night that evening a year ago, the East Lansing Police Department, in the hours-long manhunt that went on. It seemed fitting to go back today to thank them, the fire department, the first responders. We have responded in Michigan. In response to the MSU shooting, the Michigan legislature stepped up and passed the most robust and comprehensive gun safety legislation in our history. In our courts, we just recently convicted the mother of the shooter in the Oxford High School shooting. We are setting an example of how to respond when our kids are crying out for leadership. Thank you, and I yield back.
For what purposes does the gentleman from Georgia seek recognition?
For 1 minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, you're recognized for 1 minute, sir.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today and
On this vote, the yeas are 414, the nays are 11. 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the question on the motion to reconsider the vote on the question of adoption of HRES 863, on which the yeas and nays were ordered. The clerk will redesignate the motion.
Motion to reconsider the vote on adoption of House Resolution 863, offered by Mr. Moore of Utah.
The question is on the motion. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote.
their vote.
On this vote, the yeas are 216, the nays are 211. The motion is adopted. The question is on adoption of the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes. For what purpose does gentleman from Utah seek recognition? The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This will be a 5-minute vote. 1 minute. Sitting member wish to change the vote. On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 213. The resolution is adopted. Pursuant to Section 2A of House Resolution 996, House Resolution 995 is hereby adopted.
The House will be in order. Members, please move their conversations outside. The House will be in order. The House will be in order. Members, move your conversations outside. Thank you. The House will be in order. The chair will now entertain requests for 1-minute speeches. For what purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?